Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching the big India Today Young India Face-Off as campuses across the country, from the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore to IITs, IIMs and universities and colleges across the country erupt in protest. On this special discussion over the next 1 hour, I will ask students on both the left and the right who's to blame for the campus unrest. No politicians on our show, just young voices. Young India speaks about the most burning debate of the moment. I want to introduce first our guests representing the right-leaning ideology. These are student leaders from the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. I'll start with my immediate right. Anima Sonkar is the Delhi State Joint Secretary of the ABVP. Flanking her is Siddharth Yadav. He's again in the State Secretary of the ABVP, and Valentina Brahma is a student of Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has on her hands the remnants of what happened, she claims, on the 5th of January. If you can show that to our viewers before we start, where she says she was beaten up by students from the left unions. She's saying it's not just violence or aggression by the right, there is a counter violence that's at play as well. Is that really the case? Is this really an instance of the right, now that they're in power at the center, trying to assert their authority in colleges across the country? Or is the left and the left-leaning ideology to blame as well? For a perspective, we're joined, I'll start from the corner, by Maitri. She's a final year student of history at St. Stephen's College in Delhi University. It's interesting that St. Stephen's, which is ordinarily rather apolitical, is joining these protests, and the Azadi chants in St. Stephen's as well. Flanking her, we've got Surya Rajapan. She is a recent pass out of Delhi University, studied at the law faculty. She is now a lawyer and was in the news when she protested against Home Minister Amit Shah, whose cavalcade was passing by Lajpat Nagar, and she went up on her house, held out a placard, and now she's been evicted from her house because of that protest. Is the right to dissent being challenged and questioned over here? Surya Rajapan, welcome. Finally, we've got Sunny Dhiman. He's from the NSUI, the Congress's youth wing. So I want to start by asking Anima Sonkar about the charge that the right is trying to assert itself at college campuses, and young India is angry with the manner in which, in violent and brutal means, the right is trying to assert its authority. To win the hearts and minds is welcome, but the kind of violence that was seen at Jawaharlal Nehru University, using violence as a tool to assert your right, for the right to do that, is completely wrong. Opening comments from the ABVP leader.
Rahul, the first things first, that you do not have to tag every student as right or left. Students' priority should be studies, academic interest, academic activities that should go on. And ABVP is not an organization which is confined to 1 or 2 institutions, while we are pan-India in all states and all colleges. So we basically believe in the right to study, of course accompanied by affordable education, accessible education. That is the right that we asserted at JNU, not just now, for the last 65-70 days of the protest. We protested against the fee hike, and then we carried forward the interest of the students. See, when I speak of the common students as well, the students who are willing to register, the students who want to appear for the exams, who want to take their career forward, want to move out of JNU, which has been stagnated for the last 3 months. So we'll have to see who's against the students, who's against studies, against
Sunny
academic
Dhiman, here
activities.
is the argument
ABVP
the right presents, that this is primarily the left trying to stop those students who want to register, those students who want to pay their fees, continue to study, that left-leaning bodies are creating hooliganism. They are the original perpetrators of the violence. Therefore, don't blame the right. See who started the fire.
So let's talk about the Voldemort in the room. That Voldemort is the Vice-Chancellor. I'm not against ABVP. They betray the student movement. I don't have any grudges with them. It is the Vice-Chancellor against whom we are protesting for more than 72 days. It is the Vice-Chancellor has not attended even a single MHRD meeting, but he can go and meet Home Minister, but MHRD Minister had called him several times, but he didn't meet. First of all. Second, MHRD Minister initially agreed with the with MHRD's formula that roll back, but next day he did not. And that is why now why ABP people are saying like the Wi-Fi was blocked by JNU student. Wi-Fi is not that important because Government of India has blocked internet of a state for more than 150 days. Isn't it a crime? Now blocking a Wi-Fi for few hours become a crime, and you invite goons from outside so that people can register. Let me tell you, just wait for 1 or 2 days. JNU students, do not intervene. Do not intervene. Do not intervene.
NSUI was
in 1 or 2 days, thousands of JNU students will file a mass application, mass petition in High Court. Wait. There are very few people from ABVP. You do not have any interest.
Calm down, both of you. I just want to assert the rules of engagement for this conversation. You will speak when I speak to you, and you will speak as long as you're supposed to. Do not intervene and don't turn this into a fish house. If anybody does that, I will soon ask you to leave the debate. We'll have a sensible conversation. Don't win through verbal or physical violence. Win, if you can, through the power of your argument. Okay, let's just agree on that. I want to ask Maitri now, because St. Stephen's is ordinarily seen across the country as a rather apolitical college. Why is it that a college that remains so apolitical ordinarily felt the need to participate in this face-off?
I mean, all of us know that Stephen's has this...
What happened to your voice, Maitri?
I mean, when a government is in power which is so fascist, you need to protest all the more.
Or it could just be that you're not used to protesting and therefore you've lost your voice.
The genuites have the right.
See, they've been protesting for so long, their voice is just fine.
No.
We know the method to cure.
Let us speak, please.
So Stephen's is an elite space. It is an inaccessible space, and that's why it has remained an elite space for the past 50 or 60 years. However, this protest where we saw at least 500, 600 students on the campus protesting within the college and then marching to our arts fac in solidarity with the workers and students strike that was called yesterday. This is a step towards ensuring that Stephen's doesn't remain an inaccessible space. And many students of Stephen's, we haven't had a major protest in many years, but many students of Stephen's have continued to participate against the Citizenship Act, against many other activities of this government. And this whole idea was that Stephen's isn't isolated. Yes, we have isolated ourselves wrongly from DUSU politics, from DUSU elections, which has again made us very inaccessible. But the fact is that all of us these are issues that affect all of us.
Okay.
So the idea was that we need to bring this politics, to bring this within, to bring it up within the campus, because normalcy in a campus can't exist in such abnormal times in the country. So Stephen's, the idea was that we would boycott classes, we wouldn't attend any classes, and we would protest against this government, against CAA, against NRC, against NPR, against the internet blockade in Kashmir, against the trans bill, basically against this fascist government.
Okay, Siddharth Yadav, the government seems to have a real problem on its hands. I was shocked when I saw yesterday visuals of students at the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru, students at IIT, students in IIM, the Indian Institute of Management. You do not associate ordinarily student politics with these campuses. Because of the actions and inactions of your government, you suddenly have campuses in ferment at the most unlikely of places. Is this government turning young students against itself?
I think I won't say for the government, but for sure if it has to be termed as a student protest, I would not agree with you, Rahul, because out of 900 universities in our country, if you would start naming also, I don't know how many you can name. But
that list is growing.
It is growing.
Is increasing.
I think I'll be more worried if it crosses 50 one day or 100 for that matter. But as of the day, I think what has to be looked upon is why the students are out there. Students being out there on roads is not wrong. For genuine demands, definitely they should be. The Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad has been doing it for years. We have been doing it for genuine student causes. We have been doing it for genuine student issues. And we have been solving them. But what has been infused and what has been portrayed as a student protest is something very different. The call on 8th of January was rather not a call after the JNU violence, you must know. It was a way back long call when CAA was happening. The call for Bharat Bandh was called in when CAA was the issue. Today there's a different issue. And this is the entire issue.
No.
That issues are changing because people want to change them.
Issues are still
Issues
there.
are changing.
I said earlier,
There are some rules.
Whoever's speaking, let him speak, because if everybody starts speaking over each other, this soon turns into a fish house, and I don't want that. I want a high quality debates. The people who are watching can understand and process what young India is thinking, and they can make up their own minds.
Yeah, I'll complete, please. So the issues are changing, and that is the entire issue, because people want the issues to change, because they want some unrest to be there throughout. Otherwise, how would you prove that the India is on the roads? How would you prove that this government is failing? But for the matter of fact, I think when affordable education was a point, when everybody was protesting, I think that was a genuine cause. Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad did it.
Surya
We
Raja
brought
Pan-
7 crores from the UGC, we solved it. But if you keep on protesting and protesting and protesting for the sake of protesting and protesting and protesting, that is not something, that is not a student movement.
Surya Rajapan, the government and its supporters believe that this is a largely orchestrated protest. They don't look at the number of campuses. There are a handful of students at these universities who are protesting, and if it wasn't for CAA, if it wasn't for the violence in JNU, this is your usual gang, the usual suspects. They would have found some other reason to protest. You made a big statement when you held up placards and you held up a banner when the Home Minister was passing. Explain why you did that and what happened next.
So I'm a practicing advocate, and I've studied for 6 years in DU, and in my 6 years I've never been part of student politics, because I was honestly a very lazy student. To like get into politics was not my forte, and I wanted to live my own life, right? But today, at this point, we are at this juncture where I feel like protests are the only way forward for this country, because I have lost faith in the institutions of this country as a citizen. And Mr. Amit Shah being there to have that opportunity, after the fact, I've been attending these protests, we have been peacefully protesting. I'm not talking about student politics at this point of time, because I'm not part of student politics, but I have been protesting with lakhs of other people across the country, and Mr. Amit Shah has come out and said that they will not budge even an inch from what they have said about CAA and NRC.
That's you on the screen right now?
Yes, that is.
That's the banner that you held up?
Yes, that is the banner.
And what happened, Anima, is that after Surya and one more roommate did what they did, they were hounded out by their neighbors. Now, is that even fair? They have a point of view. You can agree or disagree with their point of view, but look at the fact that you're seeing a violent backlash against a protest. I mean, if they're protesting, you don't like it, just they're holding up a placard, deal with it.
Yeah,
Okay, on the 5th of January, there's a huge violence unleashed on the JNU campus. We do not know. One second. So one doesn't know if it's left or right. It's a strategy. It's an orchestrated violence that has been unleashed on the campus by the masked men. No one knows if it's right or it's the left. The thing is, still today, what is happening at JNU is every ABVP activist is boycotted socially from the WhatsApp groups which belongs to their hostels, to their centers, schools, anywhere. We all are parts of multiple WhatsApp groups, but we are socially boycotted. And not just that, I want to bring it up with you that these four
left also is the right of dissent.
This is also dissent. ABVP is dissent. These are four activist topics. Can you just zoom in and show it to the country at large that who's actually crushing dissent on the
so in fact we have
educational
Valentina
institutions. So we'll have to
Brahma
understand the pattern. It's the
she
same people who are
was
pelting
attacked,
schools in
she
Kashmir,
claims, by
in
left-leaning
JNU,
students. So she's
masked
saying,
men,
don't blame the
anti-national
right alone.
sloganeering.
We're being beaten up as well. This is campus politics. It's getting nasty, it's getting violent, but it's not one-sided. Valentina Brahma, kickstart your intervention by explaining what happened with you first.
See, everybody has the right to protest. Obviously, we are also protesting against the fee hike, but we have chosen a different method than the left. We decided to go
What
and
happened
register.
with your hand?
We wanted to go and register for the next winter semester.
Last day of registration.
That was the last day of the registration on 5th of January. That's when we were present at the ad block, and we decided that we'll go together, because since a day before we have been getting messages that the left is getting more and more aggressive in the campus with their protest. So that's why I had just reached when I saw that there was like a mob of around 100 to 200 students. Some of them were having rods in their hands, some of them were having sticks in their hands. So a lot of from them just passed by me because they didn't know who I was probably. So many
who
of
were
them
they?
then one girl who was from the same school that I belong to. She came running towards me. She recognized me. She said that you are from ABVP. You are from ABVP. And then she came. She pulled me towards her there. Then she pulled my hair. Then she started slapping me and beating me there. And that's when everybody who was passing from me, they started moving towards me. That's when everybody started towards me, and then they started hitting me. Like there was like 5-6 girls who started hitting me there, and then the other people who had, my friends who had already run away by seeing that mob, they came running to save me from that.
So you think the violence that happened at JNU was orchestrated by goons who came from the left? Is that your charge?
Of course. I recognize that girl. She's from the same school that I study in.
So
I know
Sunny
who
Dhima,
she is.
respond to this. Here is one instance of at least one student who's on camera with a physical injury. She alleges she was attacked by left goons. So she says it's not as if the right is to blame, the left is involved in this as much.
First of all, my sympathy is with Valentina because she's my junior in my same center. There are situations in campus when they can be small skirmish between students, but all I have seen, because I have witnessed, I have seen people from ABVP, I have seen Vikas Patel, which Anima Sonkar has said on different channel, that she acknowledged that he was there, charged with lathi and other things. So there were people came from outside. They were ABVP and Bajrang Dal people. They entered and they indiscriminately beaten people. And I'm sorry, shayad aap bhi pit gaye because they didn't know who is actually from ABVP or who is from outside, who is from left. Isliye aap bhi pit gaye.
Okay. Let us speak. 1 second. You've spoken.
They don't
Let us
know.
speak.
They don't know who you are. I have sympathy with you, but they have beaten you. Second thing, why? Let's talk about logically. When somebody has beaten you haven't called on 100 because police was there at 4:50.
Okay. So that's a good point. Okay,
police did not enter till 7:50.
I know, 1 second. This is the question.
Police did not enter the campus.
Okay, so you've spoken. The right needs to speak. Just today, and we'll put that out on our screen right now, we've broken a story of how the Jawaharlal Nehru University Students' Union president at 3 p.m. sends a message to a senior local police officer explaining that there are masked men with rods running amok on campus asking for the intervention. For 4.5 hours after that, the police did not enter. Now the question really is, Valentina, if you were being beaten up and if the right felt that's left-leaning goons, why did you not message the police? Why did you not make SOS calls?
Let me show you the message. Let me show you the message.
I think Valentina will, but what I have to point out in the meantime is, in the meantime,
police help was
police didn't help you.
No, I think
not all.
I just wanted two things. First point is, Animaji, 1 second. First point is, how conveniently Sunny just tagged as in campuses scuffles happen.
It happens. Like I'm not defending anybody, left or right. It happens, yeah.
This is the problem with the thought. This is the problem with the thought that if Aishi is injured,
if she's not injured, she could have died that day. She's not injured, she could have died that day.
Because your people hate her.
Ma'am, listen to me, no?
But that is not that injury.
And he has
16 stitches on your head.
Previously he said,
do you even know how I got this? I put this hand on my head.
Why would not we do it?
The lathi
You can do it in Kashmir. We'll do it here. You pet stones in Kashmir, we'll do it in campus.
Rahul, let me tell you.
Then are you against the internet blackout in Kashmir? I just say, are you against it or you know?
Justifying that blackout by cutting off the Wi-Fi, that it is okay.
Should be available to all parts of the country.
So you think that the 5 days a year, more than
situations are there. I'm against the situations also, against the Wi-Fi cut also.
Rahul,
I'm against
what
both.
is that?
Where is your
creating
message?
those situations.
You said you have a message where you are asking the police for help.
To her father, not to police, to her father.
And this is not a screenshot, by the way.
This
is not a screenshot, by the way. This is a chat. You can open it.
To her father, not to the police.
Why did you not call the police?
I see what the chat is.
Okay,
first of all.
let us
No.
speak. Zoom in if we can.
I
Yes.
was in the Periyar hostel. Okay, the network was very bad. So I called my father. I told him that there are around a lot of students outside and they are threatening us and they are coming for us. So please call the police because I am very scared. My father said, okay, I will call. Because I thought probably that's the best way because I don't know कि अंदर जाके network मिलेगा या नहीं. So when my father called me back, by that time. A lot of people, जिस room में मैं थी, by that time, a lot of people entered that room. They were wearing masks, they were having lathi. Satish Chandra Yadav was one of them. He is a general secretary of JNUSU. He was leading that mob and they started hitting me. I could not attend my father's call because at that time I was getting hit. My hands broke during that scuffle. That lathi would have been on my head if I wouldn't have protected my head
So
with their
respond to that,
hand.
Sunny.
Rahul,
Okay.
Rahul,
And
simply-
then later on I saw this message around 5. You can
just
see
give-
when I
I'm-
replied.
give a-
What
I
is the
replied
message?
around 5:05. I replied
5:05.
around 5.
5:05. Rahul,
My
what-
father texted at 4:52.
4:52.
Okay.
Look at the chronology,
I have
Rahul.
complained at 100.
Look at the chronology.
His father's, her father.
Wait, listen, listen.
I have complained.
I have
that
witnessed.
police will be coming.
I am Rahul.
Police may be
I'm one of the
coming.
witness.
Okay,
I have
okay.
seen ABVP people from JNU roaming around in campus around 4:15 or 4:30. And because it's now normalized in campus because एक दिन पहले भी लाठी चली थी तो मैंने सोचा ठीक है जा रहे हैं and I still believe ABVP JNU people cannot beat their own student because that's not our JNU's culture.
We also
they
expect
invited
that
people
our
from
people
outside
who know us
and that is why
personally will hate
Okay.
I have-
Surya wants to make a point.
Lie
One
at the top is I saw a mob going, but I thought कि ठीक है जा रहे हैं क्योंकि
No,
कल
what
भी
about
होगी.
what about
Would
that
you
WhatsApp
do it,
group?
Sunny?
What about that WhatsApp
Are you understanding what
friends
you
of
were saying?
RSS,
Surya,
friends of
understanding what you
RSS.
were
One
saying.
second, one
What
second.
You said
about
you
that
saw
WhatsApp
mob
group?
going,
Friends
but you
of
let it go
RSS
because it's normal in
Friends of
JNU.
RSS in which
You have been
Vikas Patel
doing
of
it for
ABVP
times.
was inviting people from
Sunny,
outside.
listen to
Okay,
what you were
one second.
saying.
It is
Listen
open
to
to
what you were
one
saying.
second.
पूरा देश जानता
Oh
है
my
it was
goodness.
ABP group.
Sunny, I think you need to just let others speak as well. Yes, go ahead.
So I just want to make a point here because we are talking about student politics at this point of time and the debate is who attacked whom. And of course, violence from any side should not be condoned and whoever has perpetrated, the Delhi police has not taken strict action and of course we can protest against that, we can call for action. I just want to point out at this point, what happened to me was not inside a campus.
Sure.
And who perpetrated it was very clear. Okay, there were no two ways about whether it was NSUI, whether it was ABVP.
Yeah.
It was very clear that it was BJP supporters. Because as soon as they saw and the aggressive and violent reaction, of course, we knew that this was something that obviously would irk people. It is a rally, people would react to it. But the violence and the aggression, I have never faced something like that in my life. I've never been part of student politics, so I don't know what these people are talking about, honestly. And kudos to you for having that courage to do that. But people came up to our door, threatened to break it down, and by then the banner was already down. So there was no point in them entering the house except to harm us or to at the least, throw us out. So to say that there is that the ruling party or the ruling administration is not creating an atmosphere of fear in this country is wrong. Maybe student politics is different. I am not involved in it, so I cannot comment on that. But what is happening in this country, you cannot turn a blind eye. If people are protesting, even if they are wrong, it is the duty of a constitutionally elected government to address the concerns of citizens. I'm not saying that I'm correct about CAA on my stance, or in my stance about CAA or NRC. However, as a government, you need to engage with citizens instead of ignoring all protests,
threatening
cutting down.
Okay, Anima, respond to
internet.
that. The charge that the government's taken a decision and it's foisting that decision on an unwilling population, or at least some people in that group who are unwilling. They should engage better, pull back till people are convinced, not try and thrust something through just because they have the majority.
Agree with you. At the onset, I would say, Sunny Diwan, apologize for the statement that I endorse that ABVP had unleashed violence. A fraction of a statement was taken as my stand on
I can
JV
go to
violence.
the court
You can go
I'll
to
give my
anywhere that you
testimony.
wish,
I've
but that
seen
was my
ABVP
stand.
people.
Stop talking
I've
while
seen
I'm on air.
RSS.
Let us speak. Let us speak.
Please,
You have
let
blamed
me
me, that's
speak.
why.
Please
I'll
let me
stand with
speak.
my
You
statement.
were setting rules earlier. So next is, she's saying that she was, kind of hounded by mob. Okay. So the same thing has happened at JNU. We're talking about the government taking an action. We have a campus which is completely dominated by the left. They are winning elections year after year. We are in minority, and that is what is done to us in the present time. By name, by buy center, buy hostels, they are boycotted. Okay, she is trying to. Nobody would ever justify any kind of mob violence. Whoever is doing it, if she has raised, I think she is well within her democratic rights to whether support CAA or NRC. We should not kind of hound people or traumatize on that basis.
She was evicted from her house. She can't go back to the house where
I
she
cannot
stayed.
comment on everything, but I'm saying.
I mean, I
At least condemn it.
as a student leader, I condemn
that is
whatever
extremely
violence
bad.
has
That is
happened.
At least
extremely
condemn
bad.
it.
That is
At least condemn it.
Everyone is well within democratic rights to support anything or not. That's not saying you cannot trust it. But the finer details that we are leaving in the JNU violence is that who wants to study, who doesn't want to study.
Okay.
We haven't.
Who wants to give exam on WhatsApp?
Rahul, I have
it is
not
basically the vice chancellor asking students to give exam on WhatsApp. Can you?
20 seconds. We have JNUSU, elected JNUSU.
Look at the
who
insult.
have earlier also appealed students to boycott when they have boycotted attendance, boycotted exams. But this time, even the neutral student, common student who doesn't belong to ABUP or
let the
left or
nation
anyone,
know.
they wanted
Rahul,
to register. And according to the registrar, also 60% of JNU is within their pay pockets to pay out for the increased fee. Also,
Rahul, let the nation know.
They were not
JNU Vice Chancellor asked students to give exam on WhatsApp. Exam on WhatsApp.
No.
He was not listening to the MHRD minister. He's not listening to JNU student, and he asked, and ABP people were helping other students, few students to give exam on WhatsApp. It is insult of our institution to give exam on WhatsApp. What is insult? Exam WhatsApp पर दोगे क्या? We want our exam to be held. We want our exam to be held. We want the semester should be extended at least 2 weeks so that we can go and give exam, brother. We are India's best university. We want to give exam.
I want to give an examination. You are stopping me. Is that a prize?
No, we are not stopping you to. But WhatsApp पर exam नहीं होने देंगे. WhatsApp पर exam
So what
नहीं
I'm
होने
going to
देंगे.
do right now is take a quick break. One is to just get entangled in the politics of the island called Jawaharlal Nehru University. The other is to zoom out, look at what's happening at campuses across. For whatever reason, is campus fire spreading? Is this just a passing phase? Is this anger that will last? How should the government deal with it? What does young India think? You're seeing these protests from different parts of the country. Hyderabad, Mysore, Mumbai, Aligarh, Kolkata, Delhi, several other centers getting involved as well. Fireworks and barbs being exchanged during the commercial break as well. But we'll kickstart now by focusing on the larger picture. Is young India increasingly getting disillusioned with this government, or, as the government seems to think, it's just those who never voted for the BJP in the first instance, and therefore, even if they're vocalizing their anger now, it doesn't impact the larger popularity of the Modi government? I'll ask that question first to Surya Rajapan, because there are two streams of thought. The government is convinced that this is the larger intolerance brigade, the Awad Wapsi gang, who would find one reason or the other to take on the government. If it wasn't CAA, they'd find some other pretext, because this is who they are. They don't like the fact that Prime Minister Modi is in charge. They don't like the fact that the BJP is ruling. They don't like the RSS. This is the usual brigade of suspects. It's not as if the Prime Minister and his government are becoming unpopular.
Okay. Just two things there. One, I've never participated in any protests. I've always had strong political opinions. I have expressed them against, irrespective of what the government is. I've had no leaning towards a particular party. But the fact here now is that we're becoming so intolerant, right? And in that, because the banner that I put up was specifically, because I'm a lawyer and I know how the narratives are being changed and all of those things, I specifically chose words which would be non-contentious, because I didn't want the focus of my protest to change from the intent of it to, oh, they hate Modi, or they hate Shah, or they hate the BJP, they are leftists or jihadis, which we are being called, by the way, for doing that. Dissent does not mean that I hate people or I hate BJP. Even if I had voted for BJP, even if I am a BJP supporter, I still have the right to disagree with certain policies, right? And you cannot stifle that right. You cannot violently stifle that right, more so. And it's not that we didn't protest earlier when Congress was in power, or that there was nothing going wrong in the world. And even if we are anti-Modi, what is the big deal? Why can I not like Modi and still be patriotic?
Siddharth Yadav,
want a
respond
better
to this
country?
charge that this government and its supporters are unwilling and unable to deal with dissent. She doesn't have to love Modi. She can hate Modi and yet be a patriotic Indian citizen. Just because she voices opposition to Prime Minister Modi or Home Minister Amit Shah doesn't make her a member of the Tukde Tukde gang, doesn't make her anti-national. You don't have to send her to Pakistan.
Oh, obviously. It takes a lot to be a part of the Tukde Tukde gang, and I'm sure she has not done it till yet.
Okay.
And having a dissent with the government
What you mean
is
by
absolutely fine. Having a dissent with the Prime Minister in person is absolutely fine. With the policies, more fine. With the state is no fine, which the Tukde Tukde gang does. But
Okay.
I think I can leave the part. But what I have to comment upon is, whatever happened with you is wrong.
Okay.
I'll start with that.
Thank you.
So it's wrong.
Thank you.
Secondly, whatever others are doing is also wrong. And we must have the courage to say so. As she's a lawyer and she has been advocating the anti-CAA group and she has been very vocal
Not
about
the
it.
group.
The
I'm not advocating the
anti-CAA thought,
anti-CAA.
and she has been very vocal about it.
I'm
The
advocating my
people
own.
who have been inflicting fear into the minds of the citizens of a democratically passed law in both the houses.
Maitri, respond to that. Because
Are they
the
not doing
reality
any wrong
is
than the
that
government?
if you see
If the government is wrong
a
doing
lot
it,
of the propaganda,
what are these people doing?
It is not.
the impact of what could potentially happen because of the Citizenship Amendment Act or the NRC is being vastly exaggerated as well. There are fake news stories, all kinds of propaganda
No, Rahul.
is also part of what's at play right now. Maitri.
Okay, first of all, like, why do you always feel that anyone who's protesting has been instigated? People have their own thought.
I do not feel so, ma'am.
You just.
Let us speak. Let us speak.
So, if we take a space like Stephen's, where there is no political activity, so as to say, and even then, over 500 students vehemently protested the government on a number of policies. How do you explain that? Are all of them instigated by Rahul Gandhi or by leftists? Or
They don't
Why
have
do I
brains.
have to explain it? It's fine you're doing it. Why do I have to explain it?
Rahul,
Why would I? You
because
did it.
it's
you
not
have
done
to
as a routine.
take a second. Your side has the tendency, and already it has
Arey,
started
ma'am, what
on
tendency?
Twitter.
I'm saying, why
Sir,
would I
can you
comment
let
on
me
it?
finish?
Yeah, please.
On Twitter, if you see, already this discourse has started, and it's the same profiles.
What discourse has started?
That Stephen's is a minority institution. How can it speak
No,
about
the discourse has
secularism?
started. Why was there a free Kashmir poster in
Absolutely. Why not?
Stephens? That is the discourse,
Why
and
not?
people have a right to have
Sir,
it. People have a right to have the discourse. Do not challenge there right now. You protesting is no objection, madam.
What you
You
guys do
protesting
is
is
in
no
the
objection.
discourse. What you guys do is incite violence against students. What you guys do
Now you have come
is
to the
name call
rhetoric.
students. Whoever,
Let's talk
if
about
you
the-
protest,
Let us
if
speak.
you
You have come to
protest
the
against
rhetoric
the
now.
government,
One
if
second,
you
let us-
excuse me, can you let me finish?
With the
If you can you let me finish? If you protest against this government, you are anti-national. If you are a Muslim, you are automatically anti-national. You are part of
This
the
is the
Tukde-
fear.
No,
Tukde Tukde gang.
Rahul,
who
this
is
is the
creating
fear.
this fear?
How-
You
can
said
young
Tukde
people-
Tukde gang.
Can you give
So
me
one second,
1 minute?
I want to reassert in
Sir,
part two the
is
rules of
Modi-
engagement for this conversation. I will not have participants speak over each other. If you can win not by heckling, but through how compelling your argument is, you will be allowed to ask your
very
question.
simple point.
Right now, let her
A
complete.
very simple point. You talk about who's instilling fear. The Home Minister of this country, Mr. Amit Shah, 2 months ago or 3 months ago, in the Parliament, he said a nationwide NRC would be implemented. Then now, when the protests started rising, when lakhs of people turned up on the streets every single day and through violence, when they were unable to squash those protests through state support, then the Home Minister goes back on his word. Now they are trying to confuse people, saying that there's no NRC. There are videos of the Home Minister promising it's in their
Chronology.
manifesto.
Okay, Valentina Brahma,
He's
one second,
explaining the
you can't
process.
take over.
How do you-
Allow everybody an equal
Should I
opportunity.
update your facts?
Valentina Brahma,
Secondly,
1 second, please.
Just one,
You've spoken.
one last point. Why there is fear? You can't deny there is not fear. People are on the verge of losing their citizenship rights. Why wouldn't there be fear? And this
Not
fear
these
is
are
created
all
by this legislation, this divisive legislation that has been brought in.
Yeah,
If
I
you
asked you
bring,
only.
She's not the lawyer.
if you
I'll ask
talk about NRC, if you keep saying everyone except Muslims will be given citizenship, how do you expect people to not fear?
Okay,
For
Valentina
you,
Brahma.
For you, this is politics.
Statements. No.
People are on the verge of
She has
losing
been
their
tagging
Give,
me.
citizenship.
give everyone a fair
I'm
chance.
sorry,
1 second.
I'm sorry, you're feeling
Valentina,
No, this is not the way we should debate.
Valentina
They're interfering
Brahma,
between her.
You don't with
Valentina
anchor now.
Brahma,
Please.
respond to the question that I asked.
Rahul is mostly
That there are many
towards that.
supporters of the government, many spokespersons as well who come out and say, बच्चों को भटकाया जा रहा है, बहलाया जा रहा है. They're being, at some level, are they not insulting the intelligence of those young Indians who are coming out and protesting, making it seem as if they're doing it at the pretext of the Congress, or that they don't have their own thinking and they're somehow being provoked to come out in the streets and protest. Valentin.
See, first of all, I think यहाँ पे हम देख सकते हैं कि that बहुत सारे wrong facts CA के बारे में भी बोले गए हैं. Like you are protesting, we know that okay, there might be some points that you don't agree with, but you can't just go and propagate, start with the wrong facts.
Could you please elaborate on the wrong facts?
Wrong
I'm sorry.
Yeah, how is someone going to lose his citizenship rights?
Chronology
Chronology. I think you should refer to Mr. These are wrongful facts.
You had a fair opportunity.
You are talking about inciting violence. You are inciting violence by giving wrong facts to the people.
Okay.
Right, perfect.
No,
To the
but you need
what
to
are the
respond,
wrong facts?
Siddharth, to the moot point that when multiple spokespersons and representatives of the government come out and say
confuse the
that
India.
young India is being provoked, that they are being brainwashed, you take away from them their right to think for themselves and to take their own decisions and to arrive at their own conclusions.
If young people on debates come out and say Muslims are being targeted by this government, are they not taking away that right?
What
Is not both things wrong?
How is
What
that
I have to answer is, give me 2 minutes uninterrupted. If I do not make sense,
How
I will
is
not speak
that
in this
the same?
debate.
Okay, sure.
You
But
spoke about
please clarify.
CAA. You spoke about all the things that the confusion that government is creating. Yes, CAA is passed. Yes, NRC will happen as the government has promised.
Yes.
NPR is happening.
That's great.
Yes, NPR is happening.
Yeah.
What is wrong? In CAA, we have a lawyer here. I'll not utter a word. You prove to me, you explain me, do not prove. You explain to me, how would a citizenship of an Indian citizen be diluted by the CAA Act?
Let her respond to that.
You
One second.
You
Let-
answer. Just
let
answer.
Surya, the question is to Surya
I've
Rajankar.
I've
Let her
asked a very
respond. One
particular
second. You've asked a question. This is a question that the Home Minister and the Prime Minister and the BJP ask again and again. Not one Indian Muslim will lose his citizenship. So when you keep making dramatic statements like, we are on the verge of losing citizenship, that's factually incorrect. Respond.
Okay. So, if you've read the CAA, I'll tell you the two problems that I have with the CAA. First is the fact that it's inherently discriminatory in terms of religion, because the grant of citizenship or citizenship itself has never been based on religion in our country, right? The fact that we're bringing the element of religion into it is itself discriminatory. Okay, and we can leave that for the courts to decide whether or not it's constitutional, unconstitutional. Apart from that, when we're talking about how are we going to lose citizenship, is that we're not looking at CAA in isolation, right? We have to look at the NRC as well, as has been implemented in Assam, and as we are rightly right to assume that may be implemented. Sorry, and it might be implemented in pan-India in the same way. Of course, there has not been an official declaration of what the NRC exactly would be, but the point is, at this point, from the information that we have, the NRC can be used in conjunction with the CAA, can be used as a tool to
Anima,
exclude. I'm not done. Could be used as a tool
you have to let everybody speak. You can't take over. One second.
Could be used as a tool to exclude certain minorities, certain
if there are representatives of this government at the highest levels who are on camera saying chronology samajhiye, first we'll bring CAA, then we'll do NRC.
You may think
now you can't say that the two are not linked, because there are dozens of places where senior ministers themselves are saying chronology samajhiye.
I mean, ask Amit Shah.
See, first of all, the kind of sweeping statements that are made that, the youths are instigated, or the mob on the Twitter is kind of all tukde gang aisa bol raha hai. See, these are sweeping statements. Narendra Modi or any government cannot control every mind to begin with. When she says CA and RC will take away citizenship right, the government has reiterated, I have heard them over and over again, that no citizenship will be taken away, whoever is within the boundaries of the country, first of all. Second of all, why not Muslims in future? That is emphasized because the three countries that it encompasses are primarily Muslim countries dominated. So you are not kind of restricting Muslims who are persecuted on the basis of religion. It's And
Okay,
if
Sunny
they-
Dhiman,
if
when the
they-
Prime
if they
Minister
are
himself
victims
has
of
publicly said
fundamentalism, that is not what
there
the
is no
Indian
plan
government
afoot
is going to
to
cater
push an
to. That is my
NRC,
point.
the BJP says, listen to what the PM is saying. What others are saying doesn't matter. He's given a public commitment. His word matters.
I think my Prime Minister is afraid of his Home Minister because the Prime Minister is saying that झूठ है, झूठ है, झूठ है, कोई NRC का discussion नहीं हुआ. But Home Minister says the same thing in Parliament. Whatever is said in Parliament is on the record. It is actually a document. First thing. Second, this CAA is communally secular law, and India is a secular country. We can't have any communally secular law. And third thing, कागज नहीं दिखाएंगे, रजिस्ट्रेशन भी नहीं करवाएंगे, वीसी को हटाएंगे और अपने संविधान को बचाएंगे. दैट इज आवर नारा. वटएवर लाइक आप मैं मोदी जी हमें हर महीने मन की बात सुनाते हैं. मैं मोदी जी को एक सजेशन देता हूं, मन की बात में इस महीने बोल दीजिए कि एनआरसी में क्या आने वाला है. पूरे देश को आपने कंफ्यूज करके रखा हुआ है कि एनआरसी में डॉक्यूमेंट लाइसेंस नहीं चलेंगे, आपका वोटर आईडी नहीं चलेगी, जिसके 30 साल पहले के जो डॉक्यूमेंट है आपके जन्म के वो नहीं चलेंगे. तो चलेगा क्या? आपने कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट की है. इट इज द ड्यूटी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट टू टेल द गवर्नमेंट.
The Prime Minister or the Home Minister, any subsequent clarification is marred by the original intent, which was very clear. Now you're having an afterthought because of the protest, but that doesn't take the suspicion and
No,
distrust
I
away.
think people should believe anybody but not them because they are the people who are spreading lies. If CAA has to be looked upon, if CAA has to be looked upon,
Sorry, I'm
sir, it's not funny because I'm going to tell you some facts which you should have learned way before.
Facts.
Okay?
Yes.
The CAA is a law which gives citizenship people who are prosecuted religiously. That is why we do
Does
not
that
have any
say that
mechanism.
on the
We do not have a
document?
mechanism to figure out who are the
Don't you believe
religiously
Shia
persecuted
in-
people, and that is why
Shia
as a
in
drawback, I
Pakistan
think we have mentioned the
are
religions.
minority.
When
Don't
it
you
comes
believe
down
Shias
to
in
young lawyers
Pakistan,
like her,
Baha'is are
sir,
Pakistan
I
are
tell
not
you,
minority.
I will never answer that. Give me an opportunity. When young lawyers like her sit on debates and say we attach it with NRC, and when CA will come, NRC
Modi ji
people
bol
will
rahe
be
hain, I don't
excluded.
trust you, I trust Modi
What
ji.
are you
Okay,
doing?
one second.
I'm
I
asking
trust
something.
my Prime
I'm giving
Minister.
you-
Okay, one
Do
second.
you invite,
No,
I
okay,
trust
one
my
second.
Prime Minister.
I said again, this kind of behavior is unacceptable. Speak one at a time. I want final comments from Maitri because the Prime Minister himself has said
Rahul,
his
I'm
government has
completing
no
something, I'm
plan
giving you some
to
facts.
bring an NRC. Therefore, supporters of the government will say, listen to what the Prime Minister is saying, have faith in him.
But how do we believe the Prime Minister of this country? First of all, like, the documents are available on the government website. It says that NPR is the first step towards the NRC.
NRC.
Who do we believe? Secondly, when they talk about the discriminatory nature of this bill, it can also be seen in the actions that that has been taken against the protesters. The police barged into Aligarh Muslim University,
Yes.
into Jamia Millia Islamia. Last week, for 2 weeks, the police denied that they opened fire in Jamia. 2 days ago, they had to admit that they opened fire. Whose orders were this under?
Amit Shah.
Amit Shah, obviously.
You don't know that.
Amit Shah is Home Minister. Amit Shah is Home
He
Minister.
is Home Minister, but you don't know
He
he ordered the
controls-
firing.
No, he controls police. Rahul, you cannot hide this fact. He
Then it's
controls
all
Delhi
the more
police.
worrying if the
That is
police
what
is
they-
He
acting
controls Delhi police.
without the orders of the Home Minister. I mean, in UP, the police is going into Muslim localities.
So their final words,
confiscating property.
Final words,
you
Anima,
can't say that, the
look
bill
at
is
the
not
difference in the
discriminatory.
way they act at Jamia, where they
And
go
JNU.
in with all guns firing. And that's what they do in Uttar Pradesh as well when Muslims are protesting. Whereas in Jawaharlal Nehru University, they stand by merrily as goons with
Spectators.
rods and stakes are walking past and vandalizing the
For-
university.
for
Therefore,
hours.
this police and the institutions of government can no longer be trusted to respond.
First of all, I'm not justifying the act of police. However, what is evident is from their inaction is maybe they was so badly thrashed on the social media, otherwise that the police
They didn't do their job.
has been maybe
Self-made
that's
of
what
social
I'm
media.
saying.
Men have
But
been
as a
dragged from
student,
their
I will
houses.
appeal to all the students of
They
this
are-
campus to kind
They
of
are
restrict
servant of the
any kind of
Constitution. They are
Naxal
servant
nefarious
of the
designs
Constitution.
on their campuses.
Not of
because
social
we are
media, my
living-
That is
friend. They are
already
servant of
gone, sir.
No matter
Constitution.
how
Into
much
it.
the police
They have to maintain law and
Taking a
order.
root cause,
I'm out of time
who is
on this
actually,
debate. No matter how much the police get trolled on social media and elsewhere, they are legally sworn to do their job. Okay? You've heard from young voices on the left. You've heard from young voices on the right. I found this to be a stimulating debate. I hope so did you. I want to thank these people for joining us and for provoking a very stimulating conversation and for keeping it largely sane and sensible. Thank you.
Thank you.
You decide who won. Do you believe the right won the day or the left? Tell us what you think. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.